Hey guys, this is Keegan Russell, and you are listening to the KC Sports Authority podcast. Big news in the transfer poll today for KU. The first domino of the transfer portal offseason has officially happened. Shooting guard Nicolas Timberlake out of Towson, the former two guard from Towson, has officially committed to Kansas as of today, just a few hours ago. Right now we're recording this Wednesday evening. It is official. The first domino off the board. Nicolas Timberlake, shooting guard from Towson. I got JB with me, and we're going to just break this down here over the next few minutes, talk about what it means having him sign on with the team, how that makes the roster shake up, and then kind of talk a little bit about those other two spots that they could potentially fill. So, JB, to start with, Nicholas Timberlake, we've talked about already in the last episode. He was one of the highly coveted prospects in the transfer portal. One of the older classmen. He will be 25 this year, kind of that super senior role. Um, One of the best shooters that was in the transfer portal by far. He's a 6'4" shooting guard who's best known as a shooter, but also has a little bit of drive game, and he's honestly pretty
He
athletic.
does.
We've seen a couple of highlight videos of him, taking off and dunking it. So it could be a good lob threat there. But just initial thoughts, how excited were you to hear this become official? We were anticipating this happening all week, but it is official now.
Yeah, I was thrilled. It was great to hear just because you like you mentioned, the first domino has fallen. It's becoming a reality that everything we talked about in the last podcast of who could come in and replace the guys that we were losing. Um, it's starting to come together. I know it's one guy, but this one guy is the perfect first piece because there is going to always be someone that wants to play with a guy that can shoot like that. He's 42% 3-point shooter, and that's amazing. This is this is the perfect Grady Dick replacement for our roster, without question. The other part of it is when the news broke, not only was I excited, but I saw all sorts of, as if I wasn't watching it already, but I saw all sorts of highlight videos being shared on Twitter. And thank goodness they were the right videos because they all had plenty of sky high just dunks, catching passes and throwing it down. Like he is definitely as athletic as Grady, in my opinion. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this is Grady Dick. This is Christian Brown. This is a good pickup. So was really excited about that. And to my point earlier, I think this is the perfect first piece to put into this puzzle that we've been trying to assemble of how we're going to construct next year's team. Because, like I said, a lot of people are going to want to play alongside him. It fills a major role that we are losing, and it's going to set us up for success when players that are still in the transfer portal see a guy like that commit to Kansas. They know, as if should have known already, but they know that Bill Self is onto something great for next year.
Yep, Timberlake is the perfect addition to this squad. He's going to immediately slide in as one of your wing options. Hopefully, he can replace the production that Grady gave us. This last year, Timberlake averaged close to 18 points a game, 17.7. So he can definitely go score the ball. I think he was shooting anywhere between 5 and 7 3-point attempts a game. He's got a pretty quick shot release. So, KU fans, if you haven't really watched much of his tape, go check out some of it. I think his athleticism is a little sneaky, kind of hints of a little bit of that Christian Brown game in there. Another guy I was thinking of earlier, I don't not a great comparison, but just similar is Mac McClung. The guy that
Yeah,
won the dunk contest this year. Not nearly as athletic as Mac McClung, but you wouldn't guess that he's as athletic as he is at 6'4". Not big body, not super long arm, but is going to immediately slot in at that two guard spot in a kind of a perfect role. I think immediately it brings the floor up for this team next year, as far as what this team is capable of doing, because you didn't really have a high quality shooter going into the year, and now you have that guy. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, unfortunately, to be that 3-point shooter. But I think he's an older guy, upperclassman, so he understands it and he knows that's his role coming here. Um,
yeah. He's got
Good fit there.
experience. you
Yes,
know,
and that's what Bill
that's
Self looks for in the transfer portal is who's that guy that I can come in and trust as that upperclassman to carry my team in these big games. Now,
yeah,
playing at Towson, he hasn't had the strongest competition level as some other schools, but being that upperclassman, he knows how to play. And if you go back and watch his tape, you'll see that he finds ways to get open, find ways to score with the ball, um, attack the paint, get his shot up quick when he needs to. And I think he's going to be a solid fit. So then that kind of leaves us with where do we go from here? I think initially, just with the roster we have currently, I think one big addition this has is it takes a lot of pressure off some of the incoming freshmen. Because without a big upperclassman transfer like this, I think you're going to expect a lot from guys like Marcus Adams and El Marco Jackson. Now I think Timberlake slides in the two spot. El Marco's that first guard off the bench most likely, and now it takes some of that
yeah.
pressure off him, so he can develop. And I'm sure, obviously, we're not done adding to the team, but just with the team currently as it stands, you add in that senior leadership guy that can slide in next to Dewan and KJ and Ernest or whoever ends up playing the five spot, and you get your perfect floor spacer to start with. So with that being said, now we're looking at the rest of the roster. Still have to fill it out. Currently, as the roster stands, I'm just going to go through this from top to bottom to make sure we're not missing anybody. So you've got Dewan Harris coming back, KJ Adams coming back, Ernest Uday and Zuby Ejiofor coming back. Kyle Cup is still on the roster for now. There really hasn't been a lot of talk yet on if he's going to transfer or not, and we'll get into that in a minute. But he's still on the team. Then you've got your four incoming freshmen with El Marco Jackson, Chris Johnson, Jamari McDowell, and Marcus Adams. So Timberlake makes it 10. And if you guys have been paying attention to the NCAA stuff that's going on, KU has made the decision that they're going to cut back some scholarships over the next few years. So the prediction is that they cut one this upcoming season, so going down from 13 scholarship players to 12. So that leaves two spots open. So you get your shooting guard who can score, who can be a scoring threat, who can be a deep threat from three. Actually, he can step back pretty far. Grady was a good 3-point shooter, but Timberlake is not afraid to go back even further and take those 23, 24, 25-foot jumpers. So you get him in there, and that leaves two spots open. There's a lot of ways KU and Bill Self can go with those two spots. Obviously Hunter Dickinson's still out there, and his visit is this weekend. Um, Texas transfer Arterio Morris was on campus yesterday. Another dynamic, athletic, primary ball handler, secondary ball handler, combo guard. You've got the visit of Harrison Ingram next week. He'd be the next perfect fit. I think we need to add that long wing defender, super athletic, who can score but can be that defensive presence you need. You've also got Primo Spears, another guard option who would probably come in as a backup option, who probably looks a little less likely to happen now with Timberlake joining because I think he'd be further down the depth chart. But his visit's still in a couple weeks. The last 2 days, there's been another addition to that list, and that is Jalen Tyson from Texas Tech, another guy who's entered the transfer portal that immediately got linked to Kansas. Pretty solid season at Texas Tech. Still super young, athletic, big body. Would be another solid fit next to this group. Another guy out there that hasn't had as much talk, but I think would be a solid fit is Hunter Salas from Gonzaga. He could get some interest here, but obviously the big fish left to go get is Hunter Dickinson. I think that's primary option number one, with Harrison Ingram being number two. So JB, with those two spots left, how confident are you, or do you feel like KU is going to fill both those spots from the transfer portals, or anything else at play that could happen?
It's tough because we all are just we're on Hunter watch. We're on Hunter Dickinson watch, and it's difficult to it's difficult to imagine this roster next year without him. I think the first thing that comes to mind, if he was not to be one of those other two spots, is just, well, how far do we actually go? I don't want to speak too ill on what we have because I think we can go far, but it definitely changes the trajectory of where I saw our guys going. I think it benefits Ernest Uday. I think our goal would still be to go get another big. We know Bill Self wants another big. So with two other spots, I'm looking at personally what I would love to see is Harrison Ingram be one of those spots, and then I think if it was up to me, I would. Uh, I mean, other than Hunter, yeah, I mean Hunter Dickinson being one of the spots, and Harrison Ingram being that other. really, really, when you have Hunter, when you have uh, Timberlake, and when you have Ingram, those are your direct three replacements for really what we need the most, and what we've lost. We can look at the rebounding issues that we might have had before, and not be worried so much about those anymore. It's going to be a differently constructed team. It's going to be two bigs, um, two two good combo guards slash wing players that can defend and that can shoot. And Dewan's running the show. So that's where I'm looking at. I'm thinking I'm thinking if Hunter does not come, what scares me the most is we get we get a guy like Ingram and we get a guy like Arterio Morris, which we I just it just kind of puts us into that. Well, we were really good. We could have done better kind of position. Um, I don't know if we need Morris. I think I think we've got enough pieces to where he would just kind of crowd that backcourt. And I don't really want to knock his talent. I think he's worth a good place, just not maybe not at Kansas. So maybe we go the route of um, going with Grammy Gay or some other big, because we really do need a big. We can't just go out there with just KJ and Uday, especially if they're both starting and having only Zuby to back them up. Another big is our primary focus. And so I apologize for a long-winded answer, but I'm looking at Hunter, and I'm just thinking, okay, we still have our big is our primary focus. Now we just got this awesome shooter. You like Dewan and you like his play. You have a perfect fit right here at Kansas, and the NIL money is going to be great, of course. So why not just come to Kansas? So that's where I'm kind of looking.
I do think the Timberlake edition actually helps the Dickinson case.
Yeah,
Why would you not want to come to a team that now has that floor spacing shooter that if you're getting clogged in the paint, all you got to do is catch it, turn, boom, hit the guy in the corner for a three. You're already getting to play with one of the top passing point guards in the country, DeJuan Harris, who loves the lob game. It just seems like a no brainer. Like I think if we could have it in a perfect way, we wake up tomorrow, those last two spots get filled with Hunter Dickinson coming in, and then Harrison Ingram finishes up as the other wing piece. And then you have that healthy bench of young freshman talent that hopefully can showcase something. A guy like Marcus Adams won't have to come in with any pressure. You can slot in behind someone like Ingram and KJ Adams and kind of learn for a year and showcase some of his talent, but doesn't have to take a lot of pressure early on. So I mean, to me, that's the dream scenario. I think Ingram. I keep going back and forth on how likely it is. I know he's visiting North Carolina this week, the next couple days, which scares me, and then of course Kansas next
yeah,
week. I think the only thing that might hinder him there is what kind of role he's looking for.
hmm.
But again, right now, I mean, this team is wide open. The only thing that's for sure next year is that Dewan's going to be leading the team, running the offense, and that KJ is going to be a part of it, but we don't know how much. So I still think the court is wide open for who can come in and be a big piece. So that's my dream scenario. I do like Arterio Morris. I think he's a freak athlete. Would be fun in a Bill Self system as a combo guard. But like you said, I don't know how much we really need him. I think if we had three spots open, then I would say let's go get someone like him or Primo Spears as another
Yeah,
secondary ball handler. But I think now with Timberlake slotting in there, El Marco's your backup guard off the bench. If Kyle Cuff sticks around, he's probably the other guy in the mix for minutes. Um, but I do see a scenario where maybe Kyle Cuff still leaves and Bill Self
yeah.
goes, "Hey, we like one of these other guys better than you." And unfortunately, we're not saying you have to leave, but you're going to want to leave because we need that scholarship for somebody else. So I do think that's a scenario. I think the other dark horse at play here is what happens with Kevin McCullough. Again, we mentioned that the other day too, that he's got the whole draft process. He's got 5-6 weeks left of that. Still has the option on the table to come back, and maybe KU keeps one of those two scholarships or has that Kyle Cuff move in their back pocket just in case McCullough decides to come back. And if that's the case and he does come back, then I think you're looking at a pretty talented team, one that's definitely gonna be good defensively and has a lot of depth there again. But I still think Dickinson is a sure thing at this point. I'd be really shocked if he goes anywhere else. I mean, Maryland would be a good fit for him being closer to home, but they're not going to contend for a championship next year. West Virginia just got Jesse Edwards, so is he going to want to go there? He wants to be the guy, and right now you have the opportunity to be the guy at Kansas. So to me, it's still a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
There's UConn rumors, there's Kentucky rumors, and there's all these rumors floating around with Hunter, and I'm just like, but just nothing is as perfect as a fit as compared to Kansas, right? Kansas is going to be the perfect fit. Ideal scenario is for me is Kansas comes in hot, gets they have Timberlake now. They sign Hunter Dickinson right away, and then let's say let's say let's say Morris actually does commit, Cuff transfers. I think that would be pretty sweet. Um, the other thing I'm thinking of is, do I still want Ingram if McCullough comes back? Uh, I don't know. I'd probably take McCullough, but there's a
It'd be
lot of
hard to
there's a
get both.
yeah, and we don't need both. Our biggest need definitely is going to be Hunter.
I would be very happy with McCullough coming back. If we somehow could get McCullough and Ingram, I think that would be great because it gives you a lot of length at the wing spot because then you can play them alongside each other. I mean, even having KJ slide back to the four gives you a little bit more length and athleticism there too. But for now, all we know is Timberlake is coming for sure. It is official. He's going to join the squad, and hopefully
It's a done deal.
that 17.7 points per game translates immediately. The Jayhawk fans keep up with that. Pay attention. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more coming. Um,
This
Obviously,
is
as
big.
news breaks, we're going to try and jump on as much as possible. We had one of our comments, one of the guys said, "Hey, maybe it would help if you guys were more consistent with your posting." And obviously, that's our goal. Not all the time do we have the ability just to jump on with each other, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my goal is to start doing as much as possible. Maybe we do some more shorter episodes like this just to get some quick thoughts out there. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, thank you. Keep up with this. Hunter Dickinson is in town this weekend. So if any of you are around campus this weekend and are trying to get involved, show them a good time. Not too
Say
much fun
hello.
because we want them to enjoy the weekend. But that would be the next big domino to fall. And I think from there, you get Hunter Dickinson. I think KU jumps to a title contender favorite almost immediately. Right now, they're projected anywhere from the 7th to the 10th spot. You land Dickinson, I think they're a top 5 team automatically. And Bill Self has like his perfect 1 through 5 rotation with guys like Zuby and Ernest off the bench. So next steps from here, see what goes on that this weekend. Keeping our ears open for Kyle Cuff news, seeing if he sticks around or goes. Personally, I wouldn't mind him staying because he's now been in the program 2 years, so he's experienced in the Bill Self system. I think that gives him a huge advantage. But maybe a guy like Morris or Primo Spears takes that other spot. But until then, guys, stay tuned. You can follow us on Twitter at KCSA Pod. You can hit us up on Facebook as well at KC Sports Authority. Once this one posts here in a little bit, leave your comments below on how you feel about this Timberlake signing and what you'd like to see next. Or message us over on Twitter. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot more about this. But JB, thank you. Hopefully,
Of
next
course.
time we get on here talking, it's Hunter Dickinson, baby.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Rock chalk. See you guys
Rock
later.
chalk.